Hi, my name is Cameron Joshi, and my part of the project was to do the summary of the article and the future impacts of the article on business and management. In our article, Gap raises wages and surprise, more people want to work there. CEO of Gap, Glenn Murphy, said that it just made sense to raise wages from $7.25 an hour to $9 an hour. He says it has had a positive impact on the number and quality of job applicants because of the competitive pay. Applications numbers have rose 20%, and already 31,000 people who are employed at Gap have received pay increases. By next year, when the wages will increase to $10 an hour, 65,000 employees will receive pay increases. With more employees comes more growth for Gap. They are attempting to introduce more benefits of the online and in-store buying processes, such as ordering clothing online and then picking it up in store. Raising wages is not a new concept, though. Barack Obama is trying to increase the federal minimum from $7.25 an hour to $10.10 an hour. Among supporters of this bill is Gap. Gap, among many other businesses such as Costco and Whole Foods have decided to raise the bottom of their minimum wages. Raising minimum wages not only benefits the business by receiving more stable and experienced employees, but also benefits the employees themselves. A big increase like this has huge effects on the poverty level. The Congressional Budget Office expects that the rise in income will bring more than 900,000 people out of poverty, reducing the amount of public assistance that we have to pay. I also wrote about the future impacts on business and management. I believe that this article is paving the way for a different mindset of CEOs and businesses in what they should be doing to improve employee satisfaction, and therefore improve the successfulness of their businesses. In Chapter 13, we learned that motivation and rewards were important in the satisfaction and stability of employees in a company. If they feel like they're being treated fairly, then they will be more likely to perform their jobs better and stay longer. This helps business owners in that if their employees are happy, then their customers will be happy. In Gap's case, they are already seeing the motivation of higher wages are benefiting the company. More experienced workers are applying, and the number of applicants are also increasing. More and more businesses are jumping on the bandwagon of higher than federal minimum wages. Companies like Costco, Whole Foods, and In-N-Out Burger are all agreed to raise their wages above the $7.25 mark. Walmart, the biggest private employer in the country, is also considering raising their wages, though they have not decided whether or not an increase would have a positive impact on their business. When more and more businesses join in and to raise their wages, the more competitive the job market will be, and therefore force other companies to raise their wages as well to get people to apply to their companies. I think that in the next few years, competing businesses in these markets such as retail and grocery will have to increase their wages as well in order to stay in competition for future employees.
Hi, I'm Anita Bell, and my roles for this project was to explain why this article was an important reference to Management 101 and what points I most agreed with about this article. In the article, Gap raises wages and surprise more people want to work there. It's an important reference to Management 101. I think because in Management 101, you learn how to organize the company to be more efficient and effective. You learn how to lead and to motivate your employees while still having control in place to make sure your plans are followed and your goals are met. In Chapter 11, in this course, it talks about recruiting or finding qualified workers by recruiting the external way. And I think that's what Gap was leaning towards when it came to finding applicants or candidates for their job. And so it's like when the price is right, people a better value will come, So they raised their wages, and when they raised their wages, they started getting more applicants from other retail places, better qualified applicants from other retail places. So I think that they were trying to recruit the external way and not within their company. They wanted to go outside their company and get more qualified workers in. So I think that's a good reference to this course when it comes to Gap raising their wages. I also think this article, in a sense, also helps motivate people to want to work at these retailers, because people who have already experienced working for less or being paid less would love to get paid more, for minimum wage. Who wouldn't want to leave a $7 an hour job for a $9 an hour job? That's just common sense. Anyone would, right? I would. Companies, I think, like this are making a good impact on workers, because it's I think it shows that it's that people will be willing to work if you just invest in people a little more instead of investing in everything around them. And that's what Gap did. Gap was making a sheer investment to their employees and not just to their company. This investment was more for the people who work there, to help them, get better things in life. So I think when it comes to this article, it has a lot to do with Management 101 in the sense of how it helps motivate you, and in the sense that Gap was recruiting better qualified workers for the job when they announced that they were going to raise their minimum wage from $7 to $9. So the points that I most agreed with this article would have to be the statement that Glenn Murphy made when he said, when it's all said and done, this is a race for talent. And I think by him saying that, he was saying that at the end of the day, we're going to be the first ones to do this. So we're trying to get better qualified workers to come work for us, and we want the best of the best. And by doing it first, we're gonna get a good selection of the best at the beginning, before anyone else goes through this process of when everybody's minimum wage goes up at one time. So by them doing it a year before minimum wage is set to go up, I think it helps them get the talent that's out there that's going to be coming in, by them raising their own wages on their own will. So I think that's pretty much what he was going for at the end, and he wants the talent, and I think that's what he's going to get. So I think I agree with that statement in that point. Another point I want to point out that I agree with would have to be that this impact would be greatest in the South, in the Midwest, where states tend to have lower minimum wages. I think that's true. I think states that have lower minimum wages probably would love to have jobs down there that's going to go up on minimum wage before it actually has to go up. And by going up a full year before the government is saying it has to go up, it's going to help a lot of people in states like that, as far as people who are living on a minimum wage right now. It would put a couple of more dollars in their pockets and help them with what they have going on. And I think that's what Gap is is doing by investing in their employees because they're trying to help people better their lives. They're trying to help people. The article.
Hello, my name is Misty Mast, and my role for this project was to describe our disagreements. Always a good thing. That is, when you're on the receiving end of it. Although it may be a good thing for you, it's not always a good thing for everybody else. By Gap raising its minimum wage, they're going to be able to pay their employees more for their time, which is great if you're one of the people who has managed to obtain a job at Gap. Increasing the minimum wage at a retailer such as Gap will be beneficial for some people, but it's going to also be detrimental for others. To afford to pay their employees more, it's inevitable that Gap is going to have to make some cuts, and I can assure you that it's not the CEO who is the one taking these cuts. Gap will have to cut back on the number of employees that they are able to employ due to higher wages. This will result in less jobs supplied by Gap, also meaning that Gap is helping to add to the level of unemployment, which is already high enough. As an employer, you want to have the best of the best when it comes to your employees. By raising the minimum wage, this is exactly what Gap is hoping to achieve. Gap wants to achieve a higher quality workforce and is hoping to initiate this through higher wages. The reality here is that everyone needs a job, the unqualified and the qualified. Just because someone does not have as much experience or skill as the next does not mean that they are not as talented or deserving of the job. People who are good workers but have a minimal education are going to have a harder time getting a job at Gap than those with more qualifications. I feel like the higher minimum wage is not going to help those who need it the most. The federal minimum wage is $7.25. If Gap raises their minimum wage to $9, it sounds like a lot more than just $1.75. The reality here is that this wage increase is only a difference of $1.75. That $1.75 raise is going to be taxed just as much as the first $7.25 were. With all of this being said, this decision to pay employees a higher wage is not going to help unemployment, and it will not even have that large of an effect on those receiving the pay raise. A higher minimum wage, such as $9, is not everything that it seems to be cracked up to be.
Hi, my name is Julia Rice. I'm an accounting student at Tri-County. Questions that we felt were left unanswered in the article. Although the article states that the Gap has already seen an increase in the number of applications and the quality of the applicants, I feel the following questions remain unanswered. In our reading in Chapter 13, Motivating with the Basics, the first step in motivating the employees to increase their effort is to ask the employees what would motivate them. Did management ask the employees
This is a demonstration
what would entice them
of
to
Flip for
remain
Mac
with them and keep the talented employees from leaving? Do they receive health benefits, paid vacations, etc.? The Gap may find that the money alone may not solve their problem. How do the current employees feel about the new employees perhaps making more than they do? Based on the equity theory, the current employees could perceive that they are not being treated fairly. Even though the new employees may have retail experience, they will
This
still
is a
need to be
demonstration
trained on the
of
ways
Flip
of the
for
Gap.
Mac.
According to the article, about 31,000 current employees will get raises immediately, and additional employees will receive increases next June. Why are all the employees not given raises based on their time and experience? This could lead to current employees leaving if and when competitors try to keep up and begin offering higher wages. Based on our reading in Chapter 13,
This is a demonstration of Flip for Mac.
Employees are, I quote, twice as likely to indicate that important and meaningful work matters more to them than what they are paid. Based on this, will the increase in pay alone be sufficient to maintain an experienced work staff if the work itself is not satisfying? Are they doing boring, repetitive work that is unrewarding? What will happen when the competitors mimic their plan and begin offering slightly higher wages?
This is a demonstration
If the
of Flip for
employees are all
Mac.
about money, they may leave for a little increase.